The Detroit Lions offense just put in one of the worst performances in Dan Campbell's tenure in a loss in Philadelphia to the Eagles. The defense gave everything they could, but Jared Goff, Dan Campbell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and the offense absolutely shit the bed. Here's what Coach had to say about that performance. What up, though, everybody, and welcome to Lions Nation Unite. My name is Spencer Raxter of the Woodward Heavyweights. Make sure you smash that like button. Appreciate you being here. Subscribe to the channel and go give us a follow on X, Facebook, and Instagram. Lions Nation Unite is here from Herman Moore to bring you guys the best coverage about the Detroit Lions. And listen, we all know what just happened. They went into Philadelphia and they got absolutely schwacked by the Eagles. The offense had a pitiful, embarrassing performance. Jared Goff went out there and absolutely forgot how to play football. He wasn't moving around the pocket like we have seen him in the past couple of weeks. He was not putting the ball on time and on target to his receivers. And I hear a lot of Lions fans saying, like, oh, this is the offensive line. It was awful. It was the worst offensive line performance I've ever seen in my entire life. Well, no, because the Lions have had three worse offensive line performances this season, and two of them against the Cleveland Browns and Washington Commanders, where Jared Goff was pressured at a higher percentage than he was against the Philadelphia Eagles. They resulted in wins. When you're going up against the defensive line like the Eagles, pressures are going to happen, and Jared Goff needs to react and to predict them better. We saw him in the early season moving around the pocket, making things and making passes that seemed out of his normal play style, but it was impressive because he used his feet. He was moving around the pocket to avoid pressures and delivering the ball on time and on target, coming out of different arm angles and arm slots. In this game against the Philadelphia Eagles, we saw none of that from Jared Goff. He looked cemented in the pocket. He was throwing the ball directly into Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis's face masks, and it was just an overall bad performance by him. Now, the rest of the offense, outside of Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs, also shares some of the blame. Was the offensive line awful, the worst performance of all time? No, but they also weren't great. So you can't just be like, yeah, nothing. It wasn't the offensive line. No, they struggled as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown dropped a couple balls. He was 2 of 12 when targeted, and that is just not the type of action you normally see out of the multiple-time first-team All-Pro. And here's what head coach Dan Campbell had to say about this performance after watching the film.
I thought played their tails off. 16 points allowed, man. You only allow 16 points. Your odds of winning go way up. 4 or 5 on third down, 4 stops on the quarterback sneak. Man, that was big time. Reeder and freaking Lopez and Mack and then Nowowski off the edge. Those guys just in its totality, I just thought they did a hell of a job, man. They were ready for it, and it was critical. They were crucial. They gave us a chance there. 1 of 3 in the red zone, 28 attempts, pass game 4.3 average, which is outstanding. Only gave up 5 explosives. They were 5 of 6 sudden change, getting stops. That was big time. So yeah, they ran it 40 times, but 3.7 average. So, we hung in there and did what we needed to do. Minimal, MAs, and really the only thing, just got no takeaways, We're looking for those takeaways, really needed one in a critical moment, and then just trying to get off the field one more time there at the very end. But those guys played lights out. Offensively, really starts with the run game. 3.5 average is, it's not enough for us. And that's everybody. That's all inclusive. It takes the whole unit. And then obviously 3rd and 4th down, we weren't good enough. 3 of 13. 0 of 5 on 4th down. And really it was a combination of, missed throws. We had some pressures, tip balls, had a couple of drops. And then there was a couple of bad calls by me. I wish there's some calls I want back bad. So I had a hand in that. But man, when we're explosive, we're explosive. I mean, we basically scored in 2 plays on, drive 4 or 5. We were able to hit it over the middle, and Saint gets a big one. It was a heck of a throw, really good protection. And then right after that, J-Mo over the middle takes it to the house. Good protection again, and a great throw in stride. So, we're freaking close. And then special teams coverage units, loved it. Our return game wasn't good enough. We got to deliver the blow on some of those and give our guys a chance.
So there is Dan Campbell breaking it down. And yeah, the defense was amazing. I don't think anybody will argue that the defensive performance that the Detroit Lions put out there against the Philadelphia Eagles is one that is in the makings of a championship defense. They played at a Super Bowl level when you look at the defensive side of the ball. Unfortunately, the offense completely left them out to dry, constantly giving the Eagles the ball in plus territory or even in the Lions territory because of these miscues on third and fourth down. The Detroit Lions offense just absolutely wasted one of the best performances from Calvin Shepard's defense so far this season. They shut down an Eagles red zone offense and only allowed them to score one touchdown in their trips down there. The Eagles red zone offense that was the best red zone offense in the National Football League. They had Jalen Hurts looking confused. They bottled up Saquon Barkley. Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, and Derek Barnes continue to prove why they are the best linebacking core in the National Football League. Everyone on that defensive line, whether it was Tyleik Williams, DJ Reader, Roy Lopez, Aleem McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson, El-Quadri Muhammad, Tyler Lacey, whoever it was, they were doing a great job of trying to get to Jalen Hurts, getting some pressure on him, and shutting down Saquon Barkley and the tush push. I really feel bad for the Detroit Lions defense because the offense just completely left them out to dry. The offense, what they did out there against the Philadelphia Eagles was completely unacceptable. There were blown assignments, there were missed throws, there were lapses in the passing game when you talk about protection, catches, or throws. Nothing was working. They could not run the ball in between the tackles. And when you have a rhythm and timing offense and a quarterback like Jared Goff, who is not the best at breaking contain, breaking off-platform throws, changing things by the seat of his pants, if the defense knows that he has to throw the ball to get the first down, they can pin their ears back, get after him, and if they can't get there, play the passing lanes because they know he's going to struggle when it comes to changing his arm angle and making different throws to complete first downs. It was just a bad performance by the Lions offense, and it wasn't just one guy. Like, I know I'm harping on Jared Goff a lot because he was the worst out of all of them, and he is the most important player on the Detroit Lions offense, being the quarterback. Dan Campbell wasn't great either. Now, some of the play calls were fine. They were there. They were open. It was just missed. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs couldn't really get the run game going between the tackles, which is a part of the offensive line struggling as well. And Amon-Ra St. Brown could not get open, and when the ball was thrown his way, those crazy dive back catches, stop on a dime, dive for one that we're used to seeing him make routinely, he was unable to make in this one. And it was just a perfect storm of terrible plays by the Detroit Lions offense, and it resulted in them scoring under double-digit points for the first time since I can remember. So it was a very, very tough game. And Dan Campbell, his second game play calling for this Lions offense couldn't have gone any worse. Here's what he had to say about his play calling.
Okay. I'll give you an example, man. We were second and short yesterday. It was like second and 3 plus territory. I run a keeper back to the left. I hated it. I hated it. And it was like, okay, well, do you take a shot or do you just get the first? And if you are going to get the first, why do that? Why not run it one more time? Or maybe it is you go to the shot or a more of a completion play, or maybe it's a 3-step, maybe it's a ball. And those are the little things like, man, you learn as you go that I think could have been a lot better. The sequencing of a couple of things that I think will really help our guys. So those are things that, it's just, here we go. And that'll help. That's going to help.
That in the moment, or do you hate that as you review it? You know what I mean? Like when you call it, or you're like, I should.
Pretty quick. Like, pretty quick, like very quickly, very quickly. And by the time that thing hits 15 seconds, you're done. You can't get into him anymore. And now it's done. Is it awful? No, it's not awful. It's not an awful play. There's better. There's better. And those are the things that I got to be better at. I know I can be better at, and I kick myself a little bit.
So Dan Campbell admitting there a couple of the plays he wishes he could have gotten back, and he didn't think he put the offense in the perfect spot to have the perfect play call. And those are things that he will learn. He is calling plays again for the first time in a long time, so he does have to adjust to the changes of the NFL and the changes of this offense. But Unfortunately for the Lions, we can't allow that kind of learning curve to take too long, because right now you sit at third place in the NFC North. You sit out of the playoffs in the NFC, and you've got some tough defenses coming up. Obviously, New York Giants coming up next. People think that's going to be a cakewalk. That should be an easy win. They have one of the best defensive lines in the National Football League. When you look at Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter, like they have guys on that side of the ball. So the Lions offense is going to have to be executing at a high level. And then, of course, you've got the rematch with Green Bay on Thanksgiving. You've got Minnesota in Minnesota on Christmas. You've got a trip to LA to play the Rams, and you wrap up the season with the Chicago Bears, who are one of the hottest teams in the National Football League right now. So Dan Campbell is going to have to learn on the fly, and he's going to have to learn fast of the different things that can work. Because when this Detroit Lions offense is playing behind the sticks, when they get in predictable passing sets, that is when defenses can really tee off, and that's where you see Jared Goff struggle to make some of these throws. Now, I don't think it's going to be bad or as bad as it was against the Philadelphia Eagles. This was an ugly, ugly performance on all accounts. Jared Goff will be better. Dan Campbell will be better. The offensive line will be better. But, man, that was ugly to see in the biggest spot on Sunday Night Football. Your defense is playing your ass off. You've got an opportunity to beat the defending world champions on the road, and you can't get into the double digits. All it would have taken is get into the late teens, and you could have won that game. And for one of the most high-powered offenses in the National Football League, that is just absolutely unacceptable. So the Detroit Lions are going to have to make some changes in that offense fast, and they're going to have to make sure other teams don't catch on to what Philadelphia was doing to give the Lions such a hard time. Appreciate you guys tapping in. Make sure you smash that like button. We are here on Lions Nation Unite. Subscribe to the channel and give us a follow on Facebook, X, and Instagram. I am Spencer Raxter of Woodward Sports. Again, appreciate you guys tapping in. Smash that like button. We'll see you next time. Peace.